Juror number two, Nicholas Holt stars in this legal thriller directed by Clint Eastwood and really was intended to kind of be a Max original at one point. They gave it a little theatrical release, but reality is this movie is really, really good. It comes very well recommended by a lot of folks in our sphere. I know Vex had a lot of love for this movie. And while I don't love it maybe quite as much as Vex does, I will agree this is anything they did Eastwood dirty with this one, just kind of casting it aside, no promotion, and there's probably not going to be any real Oscar submission or anything like that because both he and Holt and a few other of the elements of this film probably deserve at least some consideration because let's face it, the field's not so great. But let's talk about this movie a little bit further. Nicholas Holt stars as Justin Kemp, a recovering alcoholic who has just been selected for jury duty. And the context of the movie has to do with him really kind of being in the wrong place at the wrong time and this little backstory that kind of unpacks while he is dealing with his time on the jury. And he wants to be home with his wife. He's tried to get out of jury duty, but you can only dodge it for so long because his wife is now in the middle of a high risk pregnancy. He's called in. They're keeping him for this case. It's a accidental murder case, at least on the surface, and then the story kind of goes from there. So what ends up happening is they're there and they're recounting the events of the case, and this man and this woman. They're drinking. They're getting into kind of a little bit of a scuffle, if you will, at least an argument, if nothing else. He is there at the bar as well, and things are playing out. They go out into the rain, and she's mad, and blah blah blah. She turns up dead. The husband, the boyfriend did it. But Justin start to go, wait a minute, that night something crazy happened. The trailer recounts the incident of him basically hitting a deer. He got out, didn't see anything. He thinks the quote deer ran off, but that's not maybe what happened. I don't know. So the film sort of kind of like delicately goes through the instances, different things that are happening in this moment, gives you different flashbacks and lets you know, hey, wait, he may actually have hit this girl or not. We don't really know. And I think the ambiguity that Eastwood goes for here is probably the best way to approach something like this because you're constantly questioning what would you do? Would you come forth? Would you put yourself out there and be honest about the fact that you may be the one who actually killed this girl and this man may be on the verge of taking a fall for your accident? And he's a recovering alcoholic, so no one's going to believe the fact that he wasn't there at this bar drinking. He was really close. He was really, really close. So he has an AA sponsor that he talks to, Kiefer Sutherland, who happens to be an attorney, who gives some advice as well. And really, he's kind of trapped between a rock and a hard place. If he doesn't continue to go through and be the person, and reality is juror number two is starts at a place where he's the only voice of, hey, let's don't hang this guy out to dry. And then gradually, he's sort of like doing the 12 Angry Men, which is this incredible legal thriller, one of the best films of all time, of questioning the case. What about this? What about that? Trying to cast doubt and questioning the ignorance of people that are there. Like, you don't have to prove innocence, you have to prove guilt. And people who just want to get off the jury and get home to their family, they thought they could be in and out in a day, maybe, things of that nature. And he is at least trying to be a man of good character. And he's sort of trapped in this conundrum like, what do I actually do? So Toni Collette stars as the assistant DA who's prosecuting the case. And reality is she has major political aspirations and needs this case to come to a guilty hearing, guilty result. And she's really done a lot of good stuff. I have to be honest, all the way back to Sixth Sense, to The Hours, Little Miss Sunshine, even in Knives Out, she's obviously very good in that, even though I have issues with that film. She's done great work on TV as well. So she really brings some really great moments in this movie. I don't know if the movie is designed to showcase her a ton, but it does have some twists and turns as it sort of unpacks into what's actually going on. And then of course we have this other juror who really is integral to changing the direction of things. That's right, J.K. Simmons. You know how much I love J.K. Simmons. Now, the problem is never enough J.K. Simmons. He's a cop. He doesn't tell me he's a cop because they never ask. He's a retired detective. He's there in the town. And really he's kind of got that little doubt bug scratched by Justin. And he ends up investigating the case, breaking his rules, and they throw him out. And I will admit, this becomes kind of one of the biggest flaws in the movie for me because he knows the rules. He knows he's basically in contempt. It was rather silly to see that kind of play out the way it did, but it's a great vehicle to kind of move the narrative in the story and put Justin in a very difficult situation because he very quickly figures out that it is very believable that it wasn't this boyfriend, it wasn't the story that they thought. It could be this other scenario, and the police did what you would expect. They had their plan. This is what they thought, and then once they saw that add up, at least 2 plus 2 looks like 4. They didn't look for anything else. And once you start to look, you realize, wait a minute, this path seems equally, if not more probable, and that opens up a whole can of worms because, of course, that person is Justin. The movie is spoiled a little bit in the trailer. I really wish there weren't some of these kind of moments in the trailer. I think it would have made me wait for these things to kind of pop up and look for more details because it's kind of a shame that this film is so good, and I really wouldn't want anyone to know much about it if you can avoid it. I think Juror number 2 is actually exceedingly solid movie and probably definitely deserves a lot more credit and accolades through the course of last year. It just didn't get that. It didn't get any real push by Warner and HBO. It just had a little tiny thing and then dropped over on Max, and that's kind of where it's landed. And no one's really been talking about it much. I will admit that I had it on my to-do list. We just didn't get to it. And then it kind of didn't stay in theaters. So it's popped up on Max. I didn't run out to watch it, but at the same time, I was like, it's all right. And then I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And then didn't. And I'm happy that I did. I can tell you what, good dramatic legal thriller, great performances, great questioning, and all of the different elements that you want from something like the procedural like this, that you can start to question what would you actually do, what should Justin do, what will actually happen, how things will play out, consequences of your decisions. All of those things are wrapped up very, very neatly and nicely. Really enjoyed this movie a lot. Very solid. A solid 4 out of 5. Don't know about rewatchability. A little probably low on the rewatchability, but it's one of those where I'm like, would never be opposed to watching it, but can't see myself seeking it out. So that's kind of the issue with the rewatchability factor. But a solid film for watching it. Very, very solid. So that's my take on it. Love to hear from you guys. I am Pops.